Hi, I'm Lena for Poppy and Seed, and we're going to be tapping today and continuing our topic of clearing our unwanted habits. So we're going to keep things kind of general today so that you can fill in the blanks with any of those unwanted habits that you'd like. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about procrastination because that seems to be a pretty popular bad habit for a lot of people. And we'll start to just explore. I'll keep the words general so you can explore for yourself what emotions are coming up for you, what these habits are representing for you. Are they clearing away stress? Are they helping you self-soothe? We'll just kind of look at that because oftentimes trying to release a bad habit without looking at the triggers, without looking at emotions that are behind it is kind of just like a battle of wills. It's really hard to release unwanted habits without understanding why they're there. So that's what we'll do today. So for a moment, as always, we'll set our SUD scale, our subjective unit of discomfort. And if you'd like, you can close your eyes, or if you don't want to, you can just find a spot on the ground to let the gaze settle. And just take a couple deep breaths, allowing the attention to turn inward. And then begin to imagine a scale from 0 to 10. 10 being, I have this terrible unwanted habit. It drives me crazy and I really want to get rid of it. And 0 being, nope, I'm good. I've got no bad habits. These things that I do, I manage my time well, I know how to handle my stress, and I self-soothe in ways that are healthy. So just kind of notice where you are, allowing yourself to just name where you are without putting too much judgment on yourself, allowing it to just be a process. And if you have several unwanted habits, go ahead and give them all a number. Maybe see different scales ahead of you and give them each a number on that scale. And perhaps even noticing if there are emotions already coming up. As soon as we start to talk about these habits, are there feelings that are coming up? Is there resistance? And perhaps give that a number on the scale as well. And just for a moment, imagine that you're right in the midst of this habit. Try and bring it up as much as possible now so we can really tune into it and clear it with the tapping. So thinking of those triggers, it's a good time to start identifying those triggers. Thinking about those moments when you notice yourself doing those habits the most. And see if that number, you can bring that number up a little bit on the scale actually. Good, and whenever it feels right, you can open your eyes. And as always, we'll start with the setup statement. And if you're holding your hands like this, and you twist, it's the karate chop point. So again, you'll just simply repeat after me, knowing that the words are simply a guideline for you. The most important thing in tapping is for you to tune in to whatever's going on for you, letting my words just kind of be like a guideline for you. So even though I have these bad habits, all these unwanted habits, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So even though I have these unwanted habits, I'm not really sure why. I'm not really sure what they do for me. But I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So even though I have these unwanted habits, I feel like I've had them forever. I'm not actually aware of what triggers them. It just seems to happen whenever I'm not actively thinking about not doing it. But I deeply and completely love and accept myself, with or without the bad habits. Good, and shake it out for a moment. And we'll come right up to the tapping points. These unwanted habits, all these unwanted habits, I'm ready to let them go. No, I'm really not ready to let them go yet. I'm just ready to look at them a little. Let's maybe explore the triggers. Starting to see what's going on. What are these unwanted habits doing for me? How are they protecting me? Are they helping me relieve stress? Are they helping me self-soothe? All these unwanted habits. I'd love to know why I have these unwanted habits. It's been so hard to try and stop them. That battle of wills. It's too hard to try and willpower my way through this. I can't be conscious all the time of not doing what I don't want to do. These unwanted habits, I'm ready to let them go. Well, I'm ready to be ready to let them go. I'm ready to find other solutions. I'm ready to find other ways of taking care of myself. I'm ready to find other ways of relieving stress. I'm ready to find other ways of soothing myself. These unwanted habits, I'm ready to understand them so that I can be ready to let them go. These unwanted habits. It's nice to look at them for a moment without the pressure of having to do anything about it in this moment. These unwanted habits. How have they been serving me? And how can I best let them go? How can I replace these unwanted habits? What am I really looking for? What am I really trying to accomplish when I have these bad habits? What am I really looking for when I do these bad habits? What am I really trying to accomplish with these unwanted habits? I know they're there for a reason. I know I choose them for a reason. I'd like to find other solutions. I'm open to finding other solutions. All these unwanted habits, I do feel ready to let them go. I'm ready to find other ways of taking care of myself, of soothing myself, of relieving stress. I'm ready to let these unwanted habits go. And it feels pretty good. Okay, and shake it out for a moment. And you can close your eyes again, tune in once again to that scale, take a couple deep breaths. And just notice what your number is doing. Ideally, that number is coming down the scale. And if it's not, if it's staying the same or perhaps even going up, notice what emotions are coming up for you. Perhaps there's some resistance, and if so, give it a number on the scale. And notice what that resistance is attached to. Perhaps it's a rebellion, and I don't want to stop doing this. I don't want anybody to tell me what I can and can't do. Maybe it's that there's some anger. Sometimes we have these habits to keep ourselves from expressing our emotions because we don't feel safe to express them. So just notice what's coming up for you. And even if your number is coming down, notice what's coming up for you. Again, we're keeping things really general today so that you can fill in the blanks for yourself and make this a really individualized process for yourself of this clearing out our unwanted habits. So again, for a moment, imagine yourself in those unwanted habits. Perhaps seeing yourself partaking or participating in those unwanted habits. And just for a moment, see if you have an insight. Just observing yourself. And whenever it feels right, you can open your eyes. And we'll continue tapping. So back to the setup statement. We always come back to the setup statement when we're, ideally our number's coming down to around 5 or 6, when we're ready to start bringing in other options. And we did that a little bit in the first round, but it's kind of a nice process, and you'll just trust yourself with your intuition to see if you're ready to start bringing in other options, or maybe you just still need to tap on what's wrong for a little longer. So we'll come back here. So even though I still have some of these bad habits, I know that I'm thinking of other options. I know I'm getting to the root of the issue. Perhaps I'm gaining some insights. And I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So even though I still have some of these bad habits, some of these unwanted habits, my number hasn't come down to a 0 yet, but I deeply and completely love and accept myself. So even though my number hasn't come all the way down, I still have some of these unwanted habits. And I'm not sure exactly why completely, but I'm beginning to understand. And that understanding is helping me release them. And I deeply and completely love and accept myself, unconditionally, with the bad habits or without them. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Good. And shake it out for a moment. And we'll come right up to the tapping points. All these remaining unwanted habits, I am ready to let them go. I'm ready to take care of myself in uplifting ways, looking at that long-term gain instead of that short-term satisfaction. I'm not procrastinating anymore on taking care of myself. Those habits, I'm ready to let them go. All those old habits, I know they served a purpose, and I'm grateful for what they were doing, but I'm ready to let them go. I'm grateful that they were serving their purpose, but I'm ready to let them go. I no longer need these unwanted habits. Now that I understand them, they no longer benefit me. I'm ready to let these unwanted habits go because they no longer hold any meaning. They no longer serve any purpose. These unwanted habits serve no purpose anymore. It's easy to release these habits now that I understand. It feels good to release these habits. And it feels good to understand. I take care of myself. I uplift myself. It feels good to check in with myself each day, to pay attention to my needs, to take care of my emotions, to soothe and self-love myself. Good. Shake it out. Wonderful. And just closing your eyes for a moment again. Tune into that scale once again and take a couple deep breaths. And notice what your number is doing. Again, ideally your number is coming down towards 0. And if there's anything else that's keeping your number from moving down, even if it's a steadier number, like a decline, sometimes we go from a 9 to a 7 or a 9 to a 5, and sometimes it'll just go 9, 8, 7. Know that however your number is moving or not moving is just right for you. And that if it isn't moving at all, perhaps there's some other emotion that we really need to tap in on. Good. And tune in once again to that image of you participating in or partaking of that habit. And notice if the image has shifted at all. Good. And we're going to close it out with what's called the gamut point procedure. Ideally, your number will have come down to 0, and you can open your eyes whenever it feels right for you. And this gamut point procedure is kind of like a system reboot. We've done it in some of the sessions. It's not a necessary part of the tapping, but it's kind of a nice thing to just kind of take a little step back and reset the system where we are. And if your number hasn't come all the way down to 0 and you'd like it to, you can continue the process on your own, either repeating this video and perhaps tuning in once again, or continuing by yourself in front of the mirror. I always recommend when you're tapping alone to tap in the mirror. It's a great place to hold space for yourself. It's a very therapeutic way of doing the tapping by yourself. And it's also a great place because the mirror triggers a lot of things for us. We usually can find a lot of fodder, a lot of topics for our tapping just by looking in the mirror. So the gamut point procedure, you're going to tap right here. It's kind of like between the pinky finger and the ring finger. There's kind of a little groove between there, and you can kind of tap right in between them. And then sitting up straight and having your head straight. Keep your eyes looking straight ahead. And with your head still, move your eyes only hard down to the right, like you're trying to look at your right hip. And then back up to center. Just keeping the head still and just moving the eyes down to the left hip. And then back up to center. Keeping the head still, making a circle with the eyes in one direction. Back to center. And then a circle with the eyes in the other direction. And then we're going to hum all together. And then we'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we'll hum all together again. Good. And that's it. And we'll just take a moment and we'll spend about 10 minutes meditating and kind of set everything in and get a nice clear picture for us. So if you'd like to, you can close your eyes, allowing yourself to tune out some of the distractions and start turning inward. You can get as comfortable as you'd like if you'd like to lay down or remain seated. And simply bring your attention to your breath in your body, noticing where you feel your breath in your body now. Noticing where you feel the rise and fall of the breath in the body. Allowing our breath to take our attention inward. And then bringing the breath down into the belly to lengthen and deepen the breath. Initiating the breath with the belly. We'll be doing some active imagining during our meditation. I kind of like to think of it like a guided daydream. And again, my words are simply a guideline. Feel free to modify and adjust them however you need to, so that this meditation is just right for you. And when your mind wanders, which it's meant to, that's how we're designed. If you've lost the train of thought, you can just return your attention to your breath in your belly. That feeling of the rise and fall of the breath in the belly. And stay there until you've found the thread again. Allowing yourself not to strain or struggle, but simply congratulate yourself each time you notice that your mind has wandered, because it's another opportunity to choose your thoughts, to choose where your attention is going. So on your next inhale, imagine bringing that feeling of the rising of the breath up the back of the body as you inhale, over the crown of the head, and down the front of the body as you exhale. Imagining the breath moving up the back of the body as you inhale, and down the front of the body as you exhale. Finding your own rhythm with the breath, with that rise and fall. Allowing yourself to imagine that each breath takes you a little deeper inward. And imagine scanning through the body from the tips of the toes to the top of the head. Just scanning for any tension or tightness, perhaps. And with that exhale down the front of the body, imagine it clearing and releasing. Imagine it clearing and releasing however you'd like. Perhaps a soothing wave of relaxation with each breath down the body. Allow yourself to imagine that each breath soothes and releases any remaining stress or tension in the body. And bringing your attention to your inhale, that inhale up the back of the body. Allowing each breath to lift you up. Imagining rising out of any of those remaining unwanted habits. Perhaps lifting up out of those old unwanted emotions, those old beliefs. A lifting and rising up and out with each inhale. Again, imagining it however you'd like, that lifting and rising. Perhaps seeing those unwanted habits, old beliefs and emotions falling away with each inhale. Those old habits getting smaller and smaller as they move away from you. allow yourself to imagine these next days and weeks, yourself, this lifted feeling each day, clear of those unwanted habits, feeling different. Noticing perhaps some new habits, some lovely habits that uplift and motivate you, provide that soothing self-care. And allow yourself to imagine having a word bubble up from this place of wisdom within, a word or a few words of what it would most benefit you to focus on, perhaps what these unwanted habits have been providing for you in their own way. In a moment, I will count up from 1 to 5. At 5, you can open your eyes, returning to the room, returning with that wisdom from within, having that awareness and that guidance. And at 1, becoming a little more aware and alert. At 2, coming back to the breath, bringing that feeling of the rising of the breath up the back of the body on the inhale, over the crown of the head, and down the front of the body on the exhale. Coming back to the breath. And at 3, becoming a little more aware and alert. Perhaps noticing your body and how you've placed yourself. Maintaining that internal connection, that internal awareness as you bring in awareness of the world around you. And at 4, you can bring movement back to the body, wiggling the fingers and the toes, allowing yourself to move slowly and gently. You can stretch if that feels comfortable for you. Allow yourself to move slowly and gently as you bring movement back to the body. And at 5, you can open your eyes whenever it feels right for you. Take your time. And if you'd like more information, you can check out poppyandseed.com or check me out, Lena George, at the88percent.com. Thank you.